Gig Gab, episode 484 for Monday, June 2nd, National Rotisserie Chicken Day. Also Charlie Watts' birthday, 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Gig Gab, the show by, for, and about working musicians here in Durham, New Hampshire. I'm Dave Hamilton, and our sponsor today is factormeals.com/giggab50 off, where, yep, you get 50% off. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. This week, my co-host is a composer, a drummer, a music director, who's going to be out there this summer making it happen on one of the biggest nostalgia-fueled tours of the year. As a returning guest on Gig Gab, you've heard his work on everything from national broadcasts to stadium intros, and now he's going to be behind the kit and calling the shots for Stephen Glickman on the Big Time Rush in real life worldwide tour. We're going to dig into how you prep for a massive tour like this, what it's like managing both the groove and the band from the drum throne, and maybe some stories too. Buddy Gibbons, thank you so much for coming back to Gig Gab, my friend.
It is great to be back here after 7 long years, Dave.
7 years, episode 173.
You know, we've seen each other.
Yes.
But we haven't done this in 7. That's amazing.
I don't think we had seen each other in person before your first appearance on Gig Gab.
Probably not. Yeah. But subsequently, you've been out here and we had lunch and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I want to
wonderful.
say a quick thank you for the Han Solo shirt.
You're welcome. Yes.
Is that for me with my Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a fan. I as am I. So when I was picking out shirts today, it was like, well, yeah, we're gonna do that. That's fine. What you don't see is it says I'm in it for the money on the bottom of the shirt. So
that's perfect.
It kind of is. Yeah. I don't think he was just in it for the money though, but that's a different story.
That's why he came back. Come on.
That's why he came back. That's right. Yeah, Han shot first, by the way.
Say again.
Han shot first, 100%, by the way.
Yes, of course.
Okay, we can keep going then.
No one ever cared.
Yes. Why did he have to? Why?
Yeah, he was never even an anti-hero. He was a hero. He just happened to shoot first because he needed to.
He had to.
Yes.
No one judged him for shooting first, other than perhaps the director.
Clearly. The creator of the story. Yeah, but whatever.
Whatever. I mean, we afford him the opportunity to tell his version of it, even though he's wrong because of who he is. But
and only once. He needs to stop the edits. Just
stop, dude. That's right. Yes. Yes. All right. So clearly we know where this episode's going to go already. But congrats on this tour. This is your first time going out on the road in a very long time, right?
It's been a long time. I have been locked in various studios in LA now for 20 years. In fact, yesterday, my wife and I celebrated our 20th year in Los Angeles.
Wow.
We went and did the whole nostalgia tour. We went to all the places we lived, our first little apartment, and went to our favorite little hole in the wall restaurant for dinner.
Nice.
It was really a lot of fun for us, and some tears were shed over having come here and made a successful life out of it.
Huh. That's great. I say because I 4 days before we're recording this episode, we hit the 20-year mark of when we bought our house in New Hampshire.
Oh, wow.
We moved up here, I don't know, about a month and a half later because we did some renovations. But I like this idea of the thing. So congrats. That's great, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really fun to go see the places and to think about my first home studio was in a 1-car garage with absolutely no padding or sound deadening or anything. And all of my neighbors knew I was a drummer. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure. That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
It's great. So how do you what has this because things are way different now than the last time you were out on the road in earnest, which was more than 20 years ago, right? Because that was from when you were in Nashville, right?
That's right. Yeah, I was playing with the band was Shiloh, and that was Junior's band.
Okay.
And we had a flash. Everything okay?
Everything's okay. Yeah. Did you have a flash? Are you all right?
I did. I'm wondering if we had an earthquake.
Oh, I did hear a noise. Yeah.
Everything's okay. Sorry
okay.
about that, everyone. No, I don't think we had one because my dog, who's asleep right there on the chair, didn't budge. So,
okay. All right.
Sorry. So 24 years ago, I was out with Kenny Rogers Jr.'s band Shiloh, and that's the last big kind of tour that I did because I got so involved in the studio work here. We were beginning to run tracks. We had a PowerBook G4 that was running some backing tracks.
Okay.
And I was responsible for it, right here beside me. I would hit the play button, and that's pretty much all you could do is hit the play button
and hope.
And hope. I'll never forget, we were somewhere. I don't know where we were playing, but the whole system blanked out and we could not hear through our in-ears anything coming out of the computer. So Kenny had pulled the computer off to the side of the stage and I could see it flashing.
Oh, that's like lovely.
This. And I had to lock in with that flash as the metronome. So I was watching this flash. I was like staring at this flash.
That is not. I have recently moved from. It's rare. I've certainly done it where I've played gigs that where I'm playing to a click, and that's fine. I've recently moved from using a visual click to start songs, just to give me a tempo reference,
sure,
to using an audible click, and the amount of mental energy that I did not realize I was expending.
Yes.
Translating the visual to whatever my brain needs to count a song in took, it was a lot of energy and it took time. There was a lag where I had to internalize what this visual information was before I could count the band in. And now with the audible click, it's right there. There's no lag. Yeah.
None at all. And I've got a Porter and Davies drum throne. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah.
So I really love that throne for what it does for overall drum kit monitoring. I have it so that kick and toms are coming through it, and I've been pondering over the idea of running the click through it.
Oh.
And seeing if I can get just a little sensory reception some bone conduction with the click coming through it, because everything I play for the past 25 years is click.
All your studio stuff and all that. Sure, of course. Yeah.
It's not even funny. We'll drop something at 101.3265 as a tempo.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There's the Porter and Davies, exactly.
Yeah, just for anybody watching the video, which is not most people. That's one piece of information I didn't give you in the pre-show is that this show is an audio show. So if we see something on the screen, we must describe it. But yeah, it's a drum throne with a kicker in it, with a little resonator I don't know what it actually is in there, but
it's a transducer.
It's a transducer. There you go.
That's what it is. And I'll tell you this:
haptic feedback in your drum throne.
Feedback. That's it exactly. Yeah, I have used other variants of this that were not Porter and Davies.
Okay.
And I never really liked them. It just didn't work. You have to attach them to the base of the throne or something, and it just didn't quite give me what I was looking for from a feel and feedback perspective. It was close, it was good, but it wasn't worth the added hassle either, because here's another piece of gear.
Every piece of gear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So when Porter and Davies, I used their throne in 2012 for a video I did for Tama Drums back when I was playing Tama, and they had one on the set, and I was like, okay, I'll try this. And I remember going, wow, this is kind of great, but it's not comfortable. It's really super hard. They had to build it with very little padding on top of plywood.
So you could feel it.
And that kept me from wanting to use it full time.
Sure.
They have subsequently figured it out. And I got my hands on one about a year ago. A friend of mine had one, and I took it from him and never gave it back. And
that's the right way to get gear, by the way. It's much better than an endorsement where you've got obligations or anything. You just you block the friend and you're done.
Yeah. He did get a bass drum pedal from me for it at one point. Right. So it ended up being a trade. But subsequently, when this tour came up, I called Porter and Davies and said, hey, I think I might have a situation. And so I got this new one,
Yeah.
and it's self-contained in a little flight case. It's amazing.
That's great.
One box. And
Okay.
I love it. It's
That's
fantastic.
great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I'm super
Cool.
happy with it.
Cool.
Didn't know I'd be talking about a drum throne. Sorry.
No, see, this is how Gig Gab goes. It's totally fine. You sound good. It's all fine. It's all fine. So but your last tour was to a click, which I wasn't sure if that was the case because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
I figured this one would be because almost every tour these days is to a click.
You can get rid of that word almost.
Right. It's well, you know what? You can I realized after their Sphere shows, Fish started playing to a click, or at least starting songs to a click, which was rare or atypical for them.
Certainly.
Yeah. But yeah, now for sure.
I don't see it as a crutch anymore. I used to feel like it was quite a crutch for me personally.
Yeah.
But what happened to me is I have embraced the click so deeply now that I don't think twice about it. It's a little awkward when it's not present for me. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm freewheeling this one. And I did I'm off topic a little bit, but I did a live show with Stephen Glickman. That's going to be it's a live album that we recorded that's coming out right as tour starts.
Okay.
It was just a little, that was kind of by design. And
sure,
so
of course,
it was done completely clickless.
Oh, really? I just assumed you did that show to a click.
That show was completely clickless.
Huh?
And I remember even at sound checks and rehearsals for it, it's at the Villages Studios, which was like Fleetwood Mac did Rumors. So
okay.
It's this kind of studio where we did it. And 100 invited guests that came. It wasn't a big crowd. It was invited guests only. And we did the rehearsal, and I kept thinking, my goodness, this is just going to go off the rails. Because we had violins, we had cello, we had a marimba player, a vibe player, a bass player that I met the morning of. I mean, it was just that kind of gig.
Yeah, it was that kind of gig. Sure. Yeah.
And we had to be at a certain level to do this at a certain level. Oh, and by the way,
it's a live album.
It's a live album. We were in the reverb chamber, by the way. Oh. So me, Mr. Open Tuning, nothing damping the drums at all. Oh my God. I had to completely rethink everything that I was touching. So it was a heck of a night. But the album, I produced it and engineered and mixed. I didn't engineer it, but I mixed it and produced it. And I'm really pleased and proud of how it came out. And it's going to be on vinyl, which I can't wait.
Have you been on vinyl before? Have you released? One
time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I did about a year and a half ago, a new Broadway play for Mel Brooks' grandson.
Oh.
So it was executive produced by Mel and his son, and his grandson Henry wrote this play about the life of Charles Bronson, and it's a musical comedy about Charles Bronson's life.
There's so much to unpack there that we're not going to do.
So much, but it was released. It was released on vinyl.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. All right. So there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I will share one of my favorite little contraptions that I've gotten recently, specifically for the scenario that you're talking about, where you don't have a click suddenly, and that is the RokTempo 2.
Okay.
It clips onto your snare drum.
Yeah.
And you set a sensitivity, and it tells you what tempo you're playing. So it's a speedometer.
What does it do with ghost notes?
That's where you set the sensitivity the right way. I am a ghost note player, and it's very easy to dial it in and have it ignore ghost notes. Okay. And it's not perfect.
No, but
I mean, I always recommend to people, don't use it as anything other than extra information that you can choose to do with what you please. Because sometimes it's actually really nice to let a song breathe a little and speed up or slow down at times, right? But it's always interesting to know, how much did we speed up? How much did we slow down?
That's right.
But there are times, I just played a gig the other night, and there's times when I look down, like after I played a fill or something, and it says 430 BPM or something. It's like, okay, exactly. That's fine. Like whatever, you just ignore it, But it is handy for things like this, just to know. What's really interesting is those moments where I am convinced we have sped up.
Yes.
And I look and we have not.
Yep.
And it's like, okay.
I know this well. We did a cover of American Pie. So that's 8 minutes of no click with this giant band. And I'm thinking, okay, we started it at, I don't know, at 103 or whatever.
Sure.
And I'm thinking we certainly are at 127 by now.
Right, of course. Yes.
And lo and behold, we were at like 103 the whole time.
Yeah.
I could not believe how solid we were across that whole 8 minutes of song.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of, patting myself on the back a
yeah,
little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
About that one, so.
Yeah. It's always interesting just to know. It's more information. But
exactly. Do you remember the old Russian Dragon? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yes.
So for those of you that are not aware, the Russian Dragon was a little gizmo that attached to the drum and had essentially it measured how far ahead or behind the beat you were, whether you were rushing or dragging, hence Russian Dragon. And that thing, I used it one time and threw it out because that will make you absolutely insane.
Yeah, you can't have that.
No.
Yeah.
That's way too much.
It's too much. Yeah, it's too much. But it is interesting to have the information sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so back to the question at hand.
Yes.
You're preparing for this tour. What, other than reaching out and getting a Porter and Davies throne with a road case, what else are you doing to prepare for this tour?
There are really a lot of moving parts.
I can only imagine. Yeah. Feel free to skip over give us some of the interesting ones. Yeah. The ones that are interesting to you. That's all that matters. Congrats again. That's right.
The interesting one.
Heck yeah, man.
You know what? Honestly, I'm not a 20-year-old man. So I had to get my body in a physical position. And you look at me, I'm a very muscular built.
Yeah, you work out a lot. I mean, your physical fitness is something you've prioritized in your life.
My whole life, yeah. And so as soon as I got the call for this and knew for sure it was happening, I knew back in November that it was likely to happen. I knew by NAMM that it was happening, but I wasn't technically allowed to say anything, as you are aware.
Yes.
And then they announced in February. But the moment I found out it was actually happening, I began to get on my Peloton more often than I had in the past, because I don't want to get tired at all doing this thing. And the tired could be from lack of sleep or from a 90-minute rehearsal or a 90-minute sound check that I wasn't expecting. It's not going to be about the 35 minutes we're on the stage.
Got it.
It's not going to be that. It's the stuff around it.
Oh, yeah.
And I also had not one but 2 torn rotator cuffs simultaneously. So
recently?
Yes.
Oh, that sucks.
And I graduated from PT in March, if that tells you anything.
Oh, wow.
So even when I saw you in January, I was hurting. In fact, lifting my arm above shoulder height was nearly impossible.
Wow.
So I'm doing the famous buddy hugs at NAMM. And grimacing, especially somebody as tall as you. You and I are both tall guys.
Yeah.
So when I reach up to hug you, it's like, oh. Yeah. But I dug in hard on physical therapy. So I would do 10. If I was supposed to do something once a day, I would do it twice a day. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I simply would not let go because I don't want my body to be the reason that I can't do this tour, or or the reason that I fail on stage or whatever. That just wasn't going to happen.
Yep.
So that also
there's plenty of other reasons that could be right.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. And that was a big part of it for me. So that also leads us to nutrition and how, for me, understanding what I need to eat and what I don't need to eat. For me to be such a powerfully built guy, I'm not a big eater. It's strange actually how little I eat in the course of a day, but I find myself really focused on eating the right portions and the right type of foods.
Yep. No, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Even when they were asking us for our rider, for our backstage rider.
Yeah.
I was surprised at what we all said. None of us were looking for a bunch of junk. We were all looking for healthy.
Yeah. Well, let's be realistic. The junk is always going to be easy to get. Like it's like there's no shortage of that as you're traipsing around the country, right? So to prioritize the not junk, I can see that. I mean, again, maybe not the choice you would have made at 20, but that's only because you lack the wisdom to make that choice. It's not like it would have been the wrong choice at 20. You just didn't know.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense, and it's good that people are aware of this stuff these days.
Yeah,
no,
I mean, even our guitar player who is 24, even he was making good choices, and I was surprised by that. But I think he was led by those of us that were saying, we want to have this and a little more of that, and it's not. There's a little bit of that sort of thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
so go ahead.
No. This is all fascinating. You mentioned the 35-minute set. So there are 3 bands on this bill. Is that right? And yes. you are playing in one of them, but somewhat involved in the others. Is that right?
Not anymore. That was initially discussed.
Got it.
And so initially they'd asked me if I would be interested in playing for both opening acts.
Got it.
And I said, of course. I'm not going to turn that down.
Yep, because they'll ask the next person if they're interested in playing for both opening acts. Yes,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of discussions about it. And the way this is an interesting tour to me, in that Big Time Rush, the TV show on Nickelodeon.
Yep.
I wasn't the target demographic. I was older than their target audience.
Right.
You are older than their target audience. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
The audience currently are the 30 to 40-year-old kids that grew up with it.
Yes.
And their kids who discovered it during the pandemic.
Oh.
So there are 2 different demographics that are coming to these shows. And Caitlin Tarver played the girlfriend of one of the guys in Big Time Rush. Stephen Glickman played the manager of the band Big Time Rush on the show.
Right.
So what they're doing is every show contained X number of songs that the band would perform. So this tour is every song that was ever performed on the show in its entirety for the concert.
Yeah. Okay.
And that means Caitlin and Steven have some of those responsibilities as well.
Got it.
So
okay.
Just
to because I'm sussing this out. I know that Stephen Glickman is one of the opening acts because that's who you're playing with. Yes. Caitlin Tarver is the other opening act.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Sorry.
Now no, you don't have to apologize. I'm catching up with everybody here, so I'm just saying it out loud. Yeah. Okay. So they each so to call them opening acts is technically correct from the standpoint of people like us that listen to this show, because it's how you would think about organizing the evening, and you're going to see the rundown, and you know what time you've got to be on stage to do the thing and all of that. But from an audience perspective, this is nostalgia, Big Time Rush nostalgia tour from downbeat of band number 1.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
That's kind of cool. It's different because in that sense, it's not an opening act. It's just the first act.
There you go. That's what it is. The first act. And I've spent so much time getting involved in this world that I kind of understand the direction of things differently now than I once did.
Yeah, I bet you do.
And it's fun for me to see Stephen get his flowers, as they say, because Stephen he played Shrek on Broadway. The guy can sing.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
He can really sing. It impressed me the first time I was even anywhere around him singing, because I didn't know Big Time Rush as a show. Again, I wasn't the target demographic.
Yeah.
So when I met Stephen, I met him through a mutual friend, and he was just, hey, this is my friend Stephen. Oh, hey, it's Buddy. It was that kind of thing. It turned out, oddly, that he was a fan of mine. And when he first called me to play with him, he was like, I don't know if you'd be interested in playing with me. And it was like that kind of thing.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, of course, dude. Yes. Are you kidding me? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it was a really funny moment. But he and I subsequently actually become friends.
Sure.
And that doesn't always happen.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But we've gotten to know each other, and I think he's a solid human being. And it's cool to be going out on the road with some people that you really like and that you enjoy.
I mean, I've told this story a few times. A couple of summers ago, we went last minute Lisa and I, my wife and I, went last minute to see James Taylor. Like, bought tickets at 12:30 for the show that day.
Right.
And it's an hour away. And it was like, all right, well, and it was a beautiful day. It was like, well, this would be perfect. It's half outdoor event. In fact, it was in Guilford, which I believe is a venue you're playing.
Yeah. You'll be coming to that show.
Great. Okay. I look forward to it.
For sure, yeah.
And it's a great venue for tailgating, and it's just it's right on the lake. It's awesome, right? So it was a perfect day. I'm eating my lunch. She says, let's go. And I'm like, great. We buy tickets, last minute tickets, even though it was James Taylor. We were in the 8th row for like $40 or something.
That's awesome.
It was great. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And then I went back to my desk and I looked, I'm like, who's playing? Like, who do I get to see tonight? And I was very happy when I saw that Gad was on that tour with him.
Oh, was it Gad? Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, it was everybody. Like this, it was a cast of everybody and who was anybody because he's James Taylor. But what was really interesting was in the tour bios, they were all just a series of Q&As and they just had each musician 3 answers to questions. Mm-hmm. And not everybody's were the same. It was clear they gave everybody 10 questions and picked their best 3 answers and put it on the website. And you don't have to write your bio, just answer these stupid questions.
Right.
We've got it. Right. Which is a smart way to do it. And it's something I've done since then. When I realized what they had done, I was like, right. Okay. Now I know how to do this. The ones who had answered the question about what do you like most about this tour, 100% of those answers were the hang. The hang is great. And it wasn't the music. I mean, that's sort of a table stakes, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't that I'm playing with great musicians because that was presumed.
Yeah, right.
Right. It was the hang is the most important thing because you're choosing to spend your time away from your life and your family and all of those things. And none of the people on that tour were spring chickens. And so they all had developed lives and families and all those things.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I got to at least be able to hang with people that I can hang with.
Yeah. That's
so, it's interesting how that all comes around.
You just can't listen to the same jokes more than 2 or 3 times before you start to get tired of it. You can't hear the same stories more than 2 or 3 times before you start to get tired of it. You can't stay in your bunk all day when you're driving. So you have to surface a little bit. And like for me, I started a website company last time I was on tour. I started a website design company just to have something to do on the bus.
That may happen again.
It may, you never know. I was sitting there coding in HTML and the guys were like, what are you doing? I'm learning another language.
Doing a thing.
Doing a thing.
Ignoring you. Yes. That is step 1. Yes.
That's exactly right.
All right. I have a lot more questions for you, including some very technical, like I want to get into some of the nerdy stuff. The next thing that I want to do is talk about because it's National Rotisserie Chicken Day and I'm celebrating thanks to our sponsor Factor. This week's menu includes their roasted garlic chicken and it's so good. Juicy, savory, and ready in just 2 minutes. Because when I've got a gig or a rehearsal and 0 time to cook, Factor always hits the right note. I've also got my eye on the jalapeno sweet corn polenta and chicken. It's spicy, sweet, filling, and candidly, it makes me feel like I've got a tour bus chef living in my fridge. And even though it's not chicken, the unstuffed portobello's with Italian sausage is so good it deserves its own Grammy nomination, folks. No stuffing required, no time wasted. Factor meals arrive fresh, never frozen, and they fit your lifestyle. Whether you're going for calorie smart, protein plus, keto, or just want to stop eating sad gas station sandwiches. So always be performing on stage and in the kitchen. Get started at factormeals.com/giggab50off and use code giggab50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code GigGab50off at factormeals.com/GigGab50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Fuel up, rock on, and my thanks to Factor for sponsoring this episode. And buddy, if you need me to bring you some Factor meals when I come see you in Guilford, you just let me know and I'll
100%, absolutely, without a doubt.
So you are using tracks and clicks and all of the things for this tour. And I'm assuming at least the bulk of that work is falling on your shoulders to prepare all that stuff and to trigger it on stage. how are you going to be, what software, hardware, how are you rigging all that together so that you can reliably trigger this stuff and do all the things that need to be done?
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's certainly the right question.
You may not know the answer to it yet.
I have to know it. I will tell you this. I went back and forth on whether I should use Logic or Ableton. In fact, this very morning I posted something about it on social media, and back and forth. And what I decided on was the Roland SPD-SX Pro.
Okay, great.
And just as a sidebar, Roland, please come up with a new naming convention. SPD-SX Pro. It's just like, the SPD, the SPD-S, the SPD-SX, the SPD-SX Pro. That's just a lot of things to say.
Yeah. On my other show that I do for Apple users on Mac Gig Gab, we talk about Synology's naming convention, and it's worse than this. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It's rough. Yeah. Rough. But so you are using this to play everything. You are not using a laptop on stage.
Well, I'm going to have a laptop on stage running Ableton, I think. I don't know Ableton. Now, you know I'm a tech-savvy guy. But I am not an Ableton guy. I've never cracked it open once.
Got it.
I'm a Pro Tools, Luna, Logic guy.
Okay.
Almost in that order. Luna is beginning to climb the ladder for me in the studio.
Interesting.
But Pro Tools is really my home, but it's not great for stability on the road. That's just a no. So I'm assuming that once I get into Ableton, that it's going to be just another DAW that has some specific things that make it good for live work. I don't know yet. But
got it.
From what everybody said.
From what everybody says, I know Ableton probably less well than you do, but I would agree with what you just said about it. I will also note that this year at South by Southwest, almost every band I saw, now these are bands doing 40-minute sets where you have 20 minutes since the last band ended to get them off the stage and you on the stage.
That's right.
Almost every band I saw this year, and this is a difference from every prior year, almost every band I saw was playing to a click, and almost all of them were using the Roland SPD family. I couldn't tell exactly which unit, but it was the top right bumper pad that was the one that turned the click on and off, or the track on and off for every single song by every drummer, no matter what country they came from.
Right. Yeah. Well, because I play traditional grip almost exclusively, it's the lower right for me.
I can see that. Yep.
Yeah, that's the perfect little shot there for that one. But it's been a really rock solid piece. I've been impressed with it. It's got multiple outputs. That's what sold me on it. Got it. Yeah, there you go. If you get a backside pick of it, you can see that it's got multiple outputs on the back that allows me to run click to the headphones, guide track to output 1, bass to track to output 3, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So as this goes, I can then load everything up in, let's say I'm doing it in Logic, which is what I've been doing lately. Okay. Let's say we don't have a bass player. We don't. So
no kidding.
Yeah, there is no bass player. It was an interesting decision.
But, sure.
Yeah. But
it is what it is. Yeah.
We just couldn't make the schedules of the two guys that we really wanted work.
Got it.
So we said, okay, well then let's just create bass tracks. Have one of these guys do that for us.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing. And I have the bass on output 3. So it's its own output that the front of house guy can mix as he needs to.
And everybody can have in their ears as they need to.
That's right. And it's at every venue. So as venues change, they can make adjustments.
Yep.
Right. And I've done the same with stereo guitars. We have one guitar player, and we're not faking much. I mean, he's the guy that's playing live, played all the tracks. Okay. So he's going to have some stuff going out stereo. We're singing all
pre-recorded tracks from that same guitar player who's on stage. Correct. He's just doubling himself in a sense.
That's completely right. Yes.
Okay, got it. Yep.
And we're doing all the vocals live. There are no canned vocals. So we are a 3-piece vocal band of all things. That's kind of what we've turned into.
Yeah.
And we're singing pretty well together now. So the decision was made about a week ago that we're not going to fake any backing vocals.
Nice.
Which is cool. And I say fake. It's not faking.
It's not faking. It's just tracking.
It's just tracking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yet another reason to make sure you're eating healthily on the road, because as certainly as I can attest, and I'm sure you can too, I can play my drums fairly competently with many ailments.
Yes.
Singing impacts that far more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the necessity of having lung capacity for it.
Yes, and while you're exerting yourself playing drums.
That's
like,
right.
People don't understand. They ask me, they're like, "You seem to be in really good aerobic health." I'm like, I'm a singing drummer.
There it is.
Like, this all just kind of happens. I don't think about it. Like,
No, not at all, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my favorite thing about all of this is that once the gig was settled and we knew who was on it, there has been no question about if you make a mistake, you're fired, or if this goes wrong, you're out the door. It's just been, we are the unit. And I've loved that.
It's really interesting. I was thinking about this the other day with a band that I joined 8 months ago here, cover band called Casual Gravity. And it took a few months for us all to kind of settle in with each other and sort of accept that, okay, yes, this works. It can always get better, and we will continue to improve it and all of those things. But everybody trusts everybody now, and there's no more concern from anyone's standpoint, not from theirs that I'm going to leave if they, screw something up, or that they're going to throw me out if I, like, we're all equal now.
That's right.
And I've been in bands for years where I've never felt the level of comfort.
Yes.
And there is something hugely empowering for that. And what I noticed was, it's like, oh, I want to do things to like make this band, like push this band forward. I have ideas and I want to implement them and I want to invest my time to do this. It's like, well, why didn't I want to do that with the last band that I was?
Right.
I know why. Because I as much as I was permanently part of that band, I had a sub mentality the whole time I was there, because they fostered, the band fostered that. It wasn't, it wasn't that I saw myself as a sub, but I saw myself as like, well, if I can't make 2 rehearsals in a row, even though I've been in this band 5 years, I might just be replaced.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, that's different. I'm fine being in a scenario where I'm a sub, but it changes my mindset when I'm not.
It absolutely does.
That's wonderful that you guys are already at that point.
Yeah, and for me, it happened when I started playing around with some of the technical aspects of my drumming, and just throwing things in there that don't necessarily fit. Just trying things. I tend to be a throw it against the wall and see what sticks kind of guy.
Same.
And then I'll reel it back in. Once I've done all of this, I'll reel it back in and try to come up with a solid part. And they have not blinked when I've done any of that, not once, and even last weekend we played the House of Blues down in San Diego as a one-off. We wanted to go down and test the technical, which we can come back to, but we wanted to test that. And there was a moment when we were really, really, really off the loop.
Oh,
really off the loop.
It happens.
I can't explain how off the loop we were. And the guitar player picked up on it. He looked at me with those eyes, these giant eyes, like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
Yeah, because it's not like you can kill the loop and the song survives.
That's what I was about to say.
Because you've lost, your bass player goes away when you kill the loop.
Your bass player's gone. So, and you can't stop it and restart it like perhaps you can with Ableton.
Maybe.
I understand that you can do that in sections with Ableton.
Interesting.
I don't know that because, again, I've not cracked it open, but that's what I've heard. And when we got so off last weekend was the moment I went, I need to have a backup for this.
There needs to be plan B.
Just in case.
Wow.
So we were so off the loop, and then Stephen realized it and looked at us, and you know what happened? We figured it out on the fly as a unit.
Man.
And
yes.
And suddenly we all went, oh, okay, there's one.
Yes.
And it took us half a phrase to get it back.
Yep.
But once we got it back, we were there. And it was just sort of an amazing moment. I loved the synergy of us becoming this.
To me, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. Because to me, that is one of my favorite things about playing live. When if everything's going so perfectly that it feels like magic, love that.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Right, but there's the gigs that you don't get many or even any of those, true magic moments, and they're still great gigs, all fine. Yeah. And everything's going well, everybody plays well, everything sounds good, the crowd responds well, all the things. But when there's something that goes just a hint wrong, or maybe more than a hint, and the whole band can bond in a moment where there's that nonverbal communication, that to me is magic.
That's the magic moment. Yeah,
we had 3 of those in our first set the other night. For some reason, our singer, I guess maybe he wanted to go home early. And so he was doing that by dropping beats from one beat from a measure at a time, and he would come in singing on beat 4 as the downbeat. And the rule always is the person who makes the mistake does not know they've made a mistake. So it's up to everybody else. You follow them. They are now the truth. Right. Right is a consensus, I say on the show all the time. It has to be, yeah. It has to be, right. And what I love is, the 3 of us either looking at each other or not even. And, maybe when the next downbeat comes around, I'll hit a crash or something to just musically state that, yep, this is the new one. Here we all are. It's all fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, after he did it the 3rd time, it was like, you'd hurry to get out of here, man, because there's faster. We could cut an entire song if you'd rather,
That's hysterical. Well, the song, we were actually doing a cover song when this happened, and it's reliant upon its loop, and it's got the world's most famous drum fill in it.
Is it in the air tonight?
It is in the air tonight.
Okay.
So we were off in the air tonight. So it was like, oh my God, what are we
and you need all those keys and ethereal sounds and everything.
All.
I can see how you would get off on a song like that.
And the loop was going, doing its thing. And what people that aren't necessarily drummers don't know about it is that song's loop starts with this sound. Yep. That's the one. So
because the kick drum comes in on the end of one.
On the end of one, right?
Yeah.
So that kick drum messes with people.
Yes, so including drummers.
Including drummers, yeah.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
So it's this really funny thing to me to watch people try to figure out where one is, and then you see their eyes go, "Oh wow, there! Oh wait, what's the? Oh, it's." As a downbeat? Wow, what?
Hey, at least it has a downbeat.
I know, right? Yeah.
There are plenty of songs that don't, but yeah. Oh, wow.
But bringing it back around, the SPD-SX Pro, it's very, very, very compliant to what I need. It's also got a great computer app that allows me to use the MacBook Pro to put all the sounds into it. So I have it's on a little camera drive. What are those called? The little cards. SD drive.
SD card?
Yeah, a little SD card. Yeah. I've got all the sounds on one of those.
Okay.
So I'm running that between, I have a Mac Studio here and the MacBook Pro, so I'm running that as my simple way to get sounds from one to the other.
And in nerdy circles, we call that SneakerNet.
SneakerNet. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that from now.
Yeah, make sure you have 4 backups of that card before the tour starts.
I have at least that many.
Already. Okay,
yes.
Good. Yeah.
Plus an actual SD, an actual hard drive, an HD, a spinning hard drive. So I'm running that around, and the app itself has been a godsend because I understand how it works now. It didn't at first. It certainly had some non-drummery takes on how to route things. But YouTube is there for a reason.
Yep, for sure.
Figured out, and now I'm super comfortable and confident in the unit. So I'm really pleased. If I do
great.
Ableton will be a backup. It will not be the main.
Got it. I was gonna say, could the SPD-SX via MIDI trigger Ableton to at least keep the backup in sync on the song you're on at the very least, right?
Yes,
so that if you have to jump to the backup, you're not taking one hand and navigate. Oh, we got to go 6 songs forward, and that kind of thing.
No, apparently it is good at that. And I have a drum tech, Justin Scheidling. You met Justin. I
did meet Justin. Yeah.
Justin's coming out with me on the road for this.
You guys haven't killed each other yet, so that's
not
good.
Not at all. He is a MacGyver. And
that's a good person to have.
I know, right? So when we're out there, if there is a problem, he's going to run the backup for everything, just in case.
There you go. Oh,
him being a drummer, he's going to be on ears, so he's going to have everything going. He understands what's happening with the kit, what I'm doing. He'll know immediately if something is out.
That's great. Okay. And so he can really be that extra set of hands for you that you didn't have the other night doing this one-off gig. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, look, the one-off nearly killed me because we got there at 5 p.m. on Saturday. It's about a 2.5 hour drive down from LA down there. We actually spent the night earlier because Stephen is from San Diego. So we spent the night at his mom's house, had a nice time. It was kind of cool, and we got to the venue at 5, which was when we were supposed to, at 6 rather, which is when we were supposed to be there. And we had 2 hours to load in and sound check before doors.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm using a whole new setup here. It's a drum rack, 6-piece kit, medium-sized kit with the electronics. And I had never set it up in the wild before.
No.
I had the foresight to label it the day before.
Okay.
However, I neglected to put left and right on 4 of the posts.
That is so important.
I didn't know, and it took me an hour and a half to get everything set up. And then, of course, the in-ears weren't working. Yeah,
and you had already burned your buffer time.
Yes, completely. Yes. So it took. Yeah, it was. We were 30 seconds to 8 before we got our sound check done.
Okay.
It was that kind of night, and I'm drenched in sweat and. Yeah, we're costumed for this tour, by the way.
Oh, nice.
So Stephen he's always worn outlandish suits and whatnot. And Stephen's a big fella. Okay. He's kind of a bigger guy. Yep. And he wears very brightly colored suits and whatnot. So I'm going to be dressed as a marching band guy, it appears. And
that's on brand for you.
It's totally on brand for me. I'm nothing if not a marching band geek.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. That's good.
But that's what we're doing for the tech side of it, really.
I will say that being costumed for a gig is one of the most liberating things I've ever experienced.
Completely agree.
It was my relatively recent, the last 15 years theater experience that got me to the point where I can happily say that. At first when I started doing theater gigs, they're like, if you're on stage, like, you got to be in a costume. It's like, oh my gosh, a costume. I didn't sign up for this, and whatever. And then, I learned to embrace it. And then I got to a point where it's like I have a checklist that I go through, but after I load everything into the car to take to a gig, I have a checklist that I go through the list and make sure that I have all the things that I need. And one of the line items on the list is listed as costume, because no matter what you're wearing on stage is your costume for the 100%. Evening, as far as the crowd's concerned. They don't know if you put no time or days worth of time into what you chose.
That's right.
It is what you chose.
That's right.
Either by default or otherwise. Yeah. And so having that concept of a costume, even if it is one, certainly if it's decided for me, that makes life super easy. But if it's not, I will decide it for me. And then it's my costume.
Yeah, I decided for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And apparently My Chemical Romance, that band apparently does some marching band costuming when they play. I didn't know that.
Sure.
For me, it was all about Adam Ant back in the 80s.
Oh, yes.
I loved Adam Ant, and I just thought he was the coolest looking dude with that marching band coat and the makeup and all that. I was like, this is so cool, And
are you wearing makeup on stage?
Okay. I'm not. Yeah.
That's a disaster.
I've done it. I've done
same.
The whole, yeah.
Yeah. But it's great, and it's super fun.
It is.
Right up until I walk off stage. And then it's like, oh, I get to spend all this time taking all this crap off my face now. It's not like I could just throw the clothes in the wash and I'm done. Nope.
Dude, I did a music video where I was all kind of heavily eye makeup sort of thing, and it was all smeared eyeliner and whatnot. And it would happen to be in the hometown where my wife is from. So I left it on deliberately. and went to see my in-laws.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I've done that too. Like
my father-in-law was not okay, man.
Leave the gig with eyeliner on and go see family or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
yeah, for sure,
yeah.
for sure.
It's just gotta happen sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you might because you have the greatest excuse. It's like, oh, I just came from the thing, and that's not at all the reason that I'm still wearing it. But that's what I'm going to tell you. Yep.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I love it, man.
It is. As with every other costume, it was a choice to wear that to their house. That's right.
That was. That's so funny.
I love it. This is great, man. I'm trying to think if there's a million things that I know I want to ask you about. Oh yeah, I will ask this because you're heading out on tour for the first time and for in a while.
A long time, yeah.
But you've done this before, so you are aware of kind of some of the rigors of the road. Is there anything that you will bring on tour with you to make hotel rooms feel like home? And I realize you're traveling light and all of these things, but is there anything, a creature comfort?
Yes. And in fact, I just told them about it 2 days ago.
Okay.
I've had it planned since the moment I learned about this.
Great. Yes.
So thing one is not terribly shocking. I like to rollerblade. So I'm bringing my rollerblades and I'm going to rollerblade around Wembley Arena because I'm going to rollerblade around Wembley Arena.
100%.
You've got to do that. When we get to Athens, Greece, and we're at the Olympic Stadium, I'm rollerblading around the Athens, Greece Olympic Stadium. It's going to happen. But the other thing, and this is the one that I told him about, I really like remote control cars. So I have this really nice off-road remote control car, and it's going with me, and I'm going to be a nuisance with it. My plan is to bother everybody with that car.
Can you mount a GoPro on it? So
Yes,
that you
I need to. I should.
Okay.
I don't have one.
Because that's what I want to follow on the road is your backstage or pre-show, even in the arena antics.
Yeah.
And at some point I need to make sure that you get comfortable enough controlling the car and rollerblading that you are doing both simultaneously.
Both at the same time.
That's right. You're a drummer. Listen, I understand you know about limb independence and all these things. Yeah. So this is you are capable of this.
Yes, I'll have to start in the parking lot where there's nothing I can damage.
Right, obviously. Well, I mean the empty floor of an arena might not be a terrible place to do this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And this car will go 85 miles an hour.
Don't go that fast on the rollerblades.
It's insane to watch this thing go, But a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine named Dan Connor in Colorado, I'm shouting out to Dan. Dan gave me this car about 8 or 10 years ago, and I just kind of putted around with it a little bit. And then a year ago, I put the right batteries in it.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, this thing came to life. And I just fell in love with it. So that's going to go with me as a creature.
I love that. Well, so you are bringing your creature comforts. It's not really anything for the hotel room specifically, but
no.
I will accept the answers. They are brilliant. Yeah, that's great.
The funny thing is, speaking of creature comforts, everyone has said to me, "Is your wife going with you?"
Sure, of course.
And I think to myself, well, I don't go to work with her. Why would she come to work with me?
Fair.
But I forget that people see this as an adventure, and it is. But there's so many working hours because again, I've done this. Here's how the bus tour works, because we're buses and planes, because this is I got a budget, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna, let's say our first show's in Birmingham, Alabama. Go figure, and that's where my wife is from. So amazing. All of the family and whatnot will be there. Anyway,
so you will bring your wife to that show most likely.
No, actually, she's not coming to that one. She's coming she's coming to
a different one.
Yeah, in Virginia, actually, Bristow, Virginia. That's where her sister and her mom currently live.
Got it. And that way she doesn't have to see the first show of the tour, and she gets to see it once the kinks are worked out.
Once the kinks are worked out, yeah. So we get to Birmingham on the 6th. We play on the 9th. We have a hotel, but we leave the hotel at 2 a.m. to go to our next venue, and we sleep in the hotel during the day and do the things we have to do, change clothes, do the show, and we leave. We're in the hotel until 2 a.m. and we leave and go do the next thing. So you don't really sleep in the hotels per se. Well,
you do, just not at the time that everybody else sleeps.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different schedule. Now, fortunately, I am a 2 a.m. to bed kind of guy anyway. So for me, it's not that big of a deal. I'll just get in bed on the bus.
Yep.
You know,
and there's sleeping on a bus, man. That can be very, very nice.
It's
like
that
rolling kind of thing. Yeah.
I have one thing, and you're the perfect person to ask this question. And I know we're kind of running over time here. So I've been pondering over the Apple Vision Pro for the bunk.
Oh. Huh.
To expand the feeling of the bunk so that I don't feel like I'm in a cocoon or in a coffin. And I've been pondering over it. I know that they're supposedly doing something in June, but it won't be out until next year.
No, that won't be out right away. There is the Meta Quest that is 1/7 of the price of the Vision Pro, and a lot of people really like the Quest. But having something like that, a VR headset of sorts, that's not a bad idea. I mean, it's been. I'm trying to think of which one of us was on the road most recently. I think it was you. But, it's like, it was a long time ago for me, too.
Well, and I've done some touring, since the last big full bus and
got it.
Tour,
okay. Yeah. But like, I would have loved to have had that. Well, the last time I was on the road, I had an acoustic coupler so that I could dial into AOL on my laptop and check my email.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, the Vision Pro that's an interesting. Where you're hearing hesitation for me is almost everyone that I know that has one, and I'm thinking of one person is the exception to this, has basically gotten to a point with it where it was like, well, this was an interesting experiment.
Interesting. Okay.
And isn't really using it. The one person that is a software developer. And he said he says he uses his Vision Pro every day for a variety of things, not just testing his software, but using it and reading books and doing all the things.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't know many people who have lived with both that and a Meta Quest and being able to sort of be it. The best I can give you there is my wife and son went. This was when the Vision Pro first came out, and you could go to the Apple Store. I mean, sure, you can still do it now and test it out. And on the way home, they bought Meta Quests for themselves.
Interesting.
Okay. And my wife uses hers every day for working out, which might be something else to do for you. So there's, I realize hotels have gyms and all those things.
That's interesting. I'm so deep into the Apple ecosystem that I blanch at the idea of getting something with Meta on the front of it instead of Apple.
Oh, we are too, as you know. I was surprised when I was traveling that day and I saw, I got the alert from my Wi-Fi router, because I'm a nerd, telling me that 2 Meta devices had joined my network. And I texted them, I'm like, you bought Quest, didn't you? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the glasses that are the oversized glasses. I've forgotten Air, I think, is one of the companies.
XREAL would be probably the one to look at with that. And now we're getting way outside the musical realm, but that's okay. It's totally fine.
But it's in the bunk of the bus that we're talking about here.
That's right. It totally, no, these are, we're talking about tech, but like, this is very much like you are articulating perhaps one of the best use cases for a Vision Pro that I've ever thought of, because the idea of being able to travel with a big screen that you don't have to, you're not just going to, New York for a week and coming back. You're going.
Yeah,
you're out to wander.
I think we're doing 50 shows, maybe 47, 48 shows in the U.S. Then we go to Europe, and then there's more that I'm not allowed to say publicly yet. But we're not done at the end of the Europe leg.
Got it. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
there are a lot of shows.
Yeah.
A lot of shows.
That's great. It's awesome. Well, if you're going to bother to do this, like, do it. Like, I think it's great. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Of course. My pleasure.
Yeah. Are you going to be leaving your drums in open tuning on this tour? Or has the front of house engineer had different things to say about that?
Drums have been the subject of multiple conversations.
Okay.
Will you share kits? No. Will you play a small kit? No. And things like that, shall we say?
Yes.
And I am a person who believes the drums are a substantial part of my musical voice. So how I tune, the sizes I choose, the finish I choose, that's part of my soul. Not trying to overemphasize it, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's how I interact with the world musically. So for me, the idea of sharing a drum set with a guy that plays a 4-piece is not a great idea. On top of that, I'm 6'2", 230 pounds. And
not everyone else is.
drummers are often 5'8", 100 pounds, you know?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of options there. Head choices. Like I was talking with Remo. I'm a Remo guy. I was talking with the Remo guys about the tour, and he said, how many sets of heads are you going to need? And I said, well, my tech and I've been talking, maybe we change once a week. And I just heard him start laughing. And he said, nobody, no. You're going to need to change at least every 3 days, at least, probably every day.
And why did he say that? Like, what's the reason for that?
I played that one off that I mentioned already, and I did it with my standard setup, which is clear ambassador, which is a thin drum head.
That's a thin head. Okay.
Actually, you know what? It's not. It's a medium head.
Yes, it is. You're right.
They're medium weight, but single ply.
Ply.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and it's clear ambassador top, clear ambassador bottom, and I did it, and I play that head combo constantly and have no issues. I will keep them for a month, and then I did that live show, and I mean I went through them. Before the show was 2 songs deep, I had already thrashed the 10-inch tom.
Yep.
So that's what he was doing. He was saying, look, if you're going to do those heads, you will not be able to use them more than 1 or 2 shows. And then you
could turn up the overheads in your ears and maybe not hit as hard.
That's actually what I did. I had the overheads. The overheads were so loud. It's just your impact goes up because the adrenaline's up.
The adrenaline's up. Yeah. I know. You're preaching to the choir. I understand.
Yeah, right,
yes.
right. So he, as he was laughing, he said, look, I said, maybe 8 sets of heads. He goes, oh, no. That's way light. Really? Okay. And he said, yeah, we're thinking probably 24 sets of heads.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and that's just for the US leg, by the way.
Yeah. We'll get you what you need for the rest. Yeah.
So I think I'm probably going to be using clear emperors. I've never hit a clear emperor.
I was going to say changing it to a double ply head or something might be the right move for you for what you're talking about here.
I mean, I've done thousands of studio sessions on single ply coated heads and whatnot, thousands of them. And they're perfect for that. But then I forgot, when I'm in a real session situation in a real studio, I change heads between every song.
Right.
It's not every take, but we do a song and we do 4 takes. Those heads are gone, and I'm putting new heads on for the song number 2.
Yeah.
And I had to get my mind around that.
Yep. Yep.
So we're working that out, but it's going to be a lot of drum head changes.
It's fun though.
It is. That's
it gives you something to do in the downtime.
Not me.
When you can be rollerblading while Justin's chaining out your heads. There you go. Yeah, that's good.
No,
that's good.
Justin and I are going to work together for sure. But
yeah.
And as far as the drums go, I have a new kit that I'm actually picking up tomorrow, and it's DW Birch Collectors.
Nice.
A birch shell kit.
Yeah.
In 10, 12, 14, 16, which are not my typical sizes.
You don't play 13-inch drums, do you usually?
Always. I'm a 10, 13, 15 guy. But when you're on the road.
I thought we were friends. Go ahead.
12s, I've never met a 12 that I like. And people that think they don't like 13s, and I'm going to include you in this.
Yeah.
Actually hate 12s. They just don't know it.
No, I love 12s, and I don't like 13s.
You hate 12s. You love 13s.
Nope.
The reality of it is 12s and 13s occupy the same sonic space.
Correct.
Signature is very
correct.
So often back when the 12, 13, 16 was the thing, people would say the 13 just sounds weird. No, you're trying to tune the 12 too low and it's interfering with the 13.
Correct. No, I like 10, 12, either 10, 12, 16 or 10, 12, 14, 16.
See, I like 10. My perfect setup is 8, 10, 13, 15. And I'm out.
Okay.
That's my typical studio setup. But for this, because the 13 and 15 are harder to find heads for or parts for or whatever. Yeah. Out in, Topeka, Kansas or wherever we're going to be. I wanted to have very stock sizes.
Yeah.
But I did go shallow on the toms. I went 7 by 10, 8 by 12.
Fast toms, as we used to call
even
them.
Shallower than fast. These are actual standard size toms from
there you go.
From the 50s. That kind
of
thing.
Right.
And so that's what I've got. And I haven't decided on the snares yet. I've got, what are there, 30 snares back there? And I don't know what I'm taking yet. But
did you get one of those Radio King snares?
Not yet, but it's coming for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
That's good.
I'm such a metal shell guy.
Yeah.
I'm a black over brass guy, like a Black Beauty, but made by DW. They call theirs the Black Cutie, by the way.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
it's cute. Yeah. So I'll probably take my 5x14 Black Cutie, DW, and I've got a solid shell Craviotto that's DW hardware from back in the day that might be my secondary drum. I don't know. Some venues might want a wood shell, some might want a metal shell.
It really makes a difference in the actual venue, like the sound of the room. It makes a difference, man.
It does.
Cool.
So
that's good. You made me think about why I don't like 13s, and it's for exactly the reason you articulated. Most people are they don't like a 12 because they're trying to make a 12 sound like a 13. My issue is I don't like the way a 13 sounds. I'm trying to make a 13 sound like a 12.
You're just wrong.
And I'm 100% right about
You're just
that.
wrong.
Yeah.
Just
I did use a house kit about a week ago at this place that has an awful load-in up a fire escape if you want to bring your own drums.
I know those. Oh my gosh, I know this place.
And they have 12, 13, 14, 16.
Yeah.
The 13 and the 16 had pinstripes on them, which were relatively new.
Yeah.
The 12 and the 14 had coated ambassadors, which are single ply heads, and they looked like they had been through about 14 of your gigs. Like there were you could like pour water on it and it would pool into the divots in these heads.
Sure.
And yet I tried the 13 and it was like, no, I'm just going to use the 12, and I retuned it every other song just to get through the gig. Yeah, it's just I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
so,
it is funny. I know people, we're thrashing each other about 12s and 13s, but the reality is people do have pretty strong opinions about that. I have never met a 12 that I like.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yeah,
that 12 right there that's on that kit is one of the best I've ever played. Yeah, and I still would prefer the 13.
Yeah.
But I've gone with the 10, 12, 14, 16 setup here just so I get used to the sizing of it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to go pick up that birch kit. I'm a big fan of birch shells.
Same.
And I think that's going to be great. I've got another kit on order for later in the tour. It's the cherry aluminum kit. I can't wait to get my hands on that. Cool. And I'm going shallow bass drum on the birch kit. I've never had a 14x22. So that's going to be different.
Huh.
Yeah. Everybody kept telling me about it, and I started listening and playing them and went, okay, there's something to this. So I decided to try it for this. If it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
But we'll find out.
Well, the good news is if it doesn't work for you, you're playing venues that are big enough that the house sound is all coming from the mains. It's not like you're playing a 150 person club where your drums on stage are the majority of what people are hearing about drums. Right. So and kick is the easiest drum to fix in the mix with EQ. So if you need more out of it, you put a boundary mic inside, you grab more low end than it actually has, and you're still going to be fine.
Yeah, in fact, I play full front heads. In fact, the one you can see in the picture here is a full front head. So I don't put holes, and I've got the Kelly shoe system inside it to hold. Yep. Sennheiser 902 is what I'm going to run on the inside of the kick
mic. That's their boundary mic.
No, did I say 902? It's their kick mic, the 90 whatever.
Oh, okay. I have it wrong. I highly recommend trying a boundary mic in your kick drum. Yes. It like, oh my God. Try one.
Okay.
You might never go back.
Really?
Everyone, I was turned on to it by a front of house engineer here in the New Hampshire Seacoast about 2 years ago. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. And then I've mounted one in my kick drum, one of the kick drums that I use. Yeah. And I'm always really nice to front of house engineers. I say, look, this is not an instruction. This is an FYI. You can use your own mic if you want, do whatever you want. But this drum, if you want to make life easier for yourself, has this in here, and And most of them will say, "Oh, if you've got a mic, I'm going to use it." Of course, yeah. Forget this, yeah. And every one of them comes up afterwards and like, "Okay, I need to know what mic that was because I need to buy one of those."
There you go.
And the Behringer BA19A for $60 is just as good as the Shure 91A for $200.
Being a Sennheiser endorser, I'll call Sennheiser and see what
just get the Sennheiser one. Yeah. They all make boundary mics. The Sennheiser, I think, actually has a slightly larger diaphragm than the Shure and the Behringer, so you probably get an even better sound out of that.
Cool. I'm actually really excited. I'm excited because I'm using the 421 compact mics for this tour. I haven't tried those before. They sent them out today, actually, so they should be here this week. Nice. And they're smaller versions of the iconic 421, and I'm a huge 421 guy. In fact, you can probably see a couple in the photos here.
I noticed that when we were dialing in things before we started. Yep.
There you go. So the 421 is a thing for me, and I'm looking forward to that. And I just have to say one other gear-related thing, and that is that I switched over to Paiste Cymbals during the pandemic.
Yes, you did.
I grew up a Paiste player. I was a Paiste fanatic because I love Stuart Copeland and Jeff Porcaro and John Bonham and Alex Van Halen. And that was the sound that was in my ears as a kid. And I played them all the way through my Nashville days and made the switch to Zildjian toward the end of my days in Nashville. And was with Zildjian for 15 good years, but I just couldn't get that sound out of my head.
Yep.
That Paiste sound. So I moved over to Paiste, and they've been stunningly great to me musically. They personally, and when this tour came up, Kelly Paiste actually, we had she and the crew had a conversation about it, and it turns out that I'm getting an interesting ride.
Okay.
For this. It's the Nico McBrain signature.
Oh, and that's pretty special.
I didn't know what I was in for with that. And that thing actually sounds brilliant. It's a beautiful ride cymbal. I thought it'd be all clang, clang, clang.
Yeah.
It's not at all. It's beautiful.
All right.
So it's something to check out. You'll get to hear it
in
person.
I have become a Paiste guy almost accidentally. I've talked about it on this show. Yeah, it all started with a crash cymbal. Many years ago, I hit it in a music store that was not just a drum store, and loved it. And a guitar player that I did not know. In fact, I don't know who this stranger was. We've had exactly one conversation, and this was it. I hit it, and this guitar player on the other side of the room says, "What cymbal is that?"
No kidding.
Yep. And I was like, it's going to be mine. And he's like, "Good choice." And that's the end of our conversation. But
wow.
And it was a Dimensions crash, which they don't make anymore.
Oh yeah, those are great crashes. Yeah.
I loved those crashes. And I still have that one. It's lasted all these years. But when it came time to kind of enhance my cymbal lineup here, it was like, I think maybe Paiste is the way to go. Actually, it really wasn't. I didn't even have a brand in mind. I went and talked to Shane at Drum Center at Portsmouth, and we spent a couple hours together hitting every brand of cymbal and type and size, and wound up with a bunch of Paistes, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." He's like, "Yeah, it's really not that surprising." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I knew what it was going to be before we started this process. I just knew you had to go through it." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, interesting."
It's funny, when I first signed on and they were first sending me my first setup, Tim Shahady at Paiste, we were talking about my sounds and what I like, and he said, "Oh, and I'm sending you these 15-inch 602 Modern Essential hi-hats." I said, "No, don't do that. I don't play 15-inch hats." He goes, "You're going to play these hats." I was like, "Nah, I'm not going to play these hats." "Yeah, I'm sending you this hat. It's all I want to play anymore." Yep. I don't even touch any other hi-hats. Now, I'm not taking them on the road, but those hats for studio work, mind-blowing. And those are Shane's favorite, some hi-hats, by the way.
Are they really? Yeah. Do you know Shane?
I don't, but I love his videos, obviously, and he talks about those hi-hats all the time.
I consider myself super blessed to A, call Shane a friend, and B, live, 15 minutes from Drum Center at Portsmouth?
Then you and I need to go to that store when I'm in town.
Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because what you won't get to see is the evolution of it from, tiny little closet of a store to now the largest drum store on the planet, I think. He's got 25,000 square feet or something. It's crazy. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
So
all right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it. Okay. Yeah. It's time to make plans for not doing any more of this episode, though, because we have. Thank you to all of our Gig Gab listeners here for how kind and generous you've been with your time for this.
A blast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Where can people find you, buddy?
BuddyGibbons.com is the hub of it all. And then from BuddyGibbons.com, you can find all of the social media stuff. I'm not a huge social media guy, but I put some things on Instagram is kind of where I'm focusing my energy these days.
Got it.
So at Bud Drums is all of my social media.
All right.
So check that out. And
yeah. Thank you for doing this. This is what a blast, man. It's always a pleasure when we get to talk and I love when we can do this stuff.
Same here. Thank you again for having me. And your catchphrase is what I'm going to end with, man. Always be performing. That's absolutely the right way to phrase it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I didn't even have to prompt you.
No.
I didn't even have to put it up on the screen. Nothing.
It's perfect.
I love it. Thanks, folks. We'll see you next week. And we're out.
Okay. That went long. Sorry.